Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Word Weavers International Florida Christian Writers Conference channel. I am the director, Eva Marie Everson, and this is my favorite sidekick.
Hi, I'm Taryn Souders, and I am the co-director of the Florida Christian Writers Conference.
We love us some Taryn. Okay, so we're back for 2023. We are like totally and completely blown away by the number of you who have already signed up for the October conference. We're so excited that you're going to join us. Last year, we had a fiction intensive on Wednesday. The year before that, we had a children's intensive on Wednesday. This year, we're going to have a nonfiction intensive on Wednesday. So, Taryn, let's talk about that just a little bit for anyone who doesn't know, like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, what it means is that if you come in on Wednesday and these classes start at 10 and they go all day till dinner time, which is 5 o'clock. So if you come in on that day, you will have the opportunity to choose from multiple workshops. I don't know, we have like 12 to choose from all day long. And they all focus on something having to do with nonfiction writing, whether you're doing narrative nonfiction or if you're trying to market a nonfiction or how you're going to write, insert God's word into your nonfiction, any of that. And we're going to dive into these classes in just a little bit.
So some of you, because of the distance of where you live, you're going to come in on Tuesday night, and we are going to open up registration on Tuesday night. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. You'll be able to come in. You'll be able to get into your rooms. You'll be able to check in your books or products if you have anything for the bookstore that you want to sell, and get a good night's sleep. Get up the next morning. We have breakfast from 7:30 to 8:15. And then after that, registration will open again from 8:30 to 9:45. So for those of you who would already come in, you've got a little bit of some chill time. You can go back to your room, brush your teeth, brush your hair. I don't care. And then at 10 o'clock, that's when we start the nonfiction intensive. Now, we only offer 2 classes per hour, and we're doing that on purpose. One of the things that we often hear is about the number of classes to choose from during regular conference, but you only have 2 to choose from because we do not record these classes. The reason being is that you have paid extra for this, and we want to just kind of keep that separate just for you. And having just the 2 classes kind of makes it easier for you to determine which class is the best way for you to go. So, Taryn, let's talk about the 10 o'clock hour.
Okay.
What 2 classes are being offered?
The 2 classes being offered from 10 o'clock to 10:50. They're going to be taught by Ava Pennington, and that one is called 12 Tips to Writing Life-Changing Bible Studies. And so this is for someone who maybe you want to write a Bible study, but you've never done it before, or maybe you do write Bible studies, but you just want to get a little bit more education, a little more guidance in this area. That would be an excellent class. And then the other one is taught by Michelle Medlock Adams, who is a FCWC favorite, and yes. It's called Writing Nonfiction That Matters, Follow Your Dreams in Writing. And so she actually uses an acronym DREAM. She goes over what each one of those letters stands for and just how you can use your writing to honor God.
You mentioned that about the FCWC favorite. So is Ava.
Absolutely.
In fact, I can't think of anybody that we're bringing in other than somebody who's like brand new to the conference that are not favorites. We've just got such a great lineup this year, and I just love both of those women so much. What a great choice. Well, unfortunately, these are 2 wonderful choices, but specifically if you have participated in Bible studies, whether in a group or individually, and you're thinking, gosh, I think I might be able to do that. It's not as easy as it looks, because if it were, everybody would be doing it. But Ava's going to break that down for you, and who better than Ava to teach that? And then, of course, Michelle is such a big picture person, and so she is going to help with some of the other issues around nonfiction, and just, do you want to write nonfiction in general, and what that looks like. And so very excited about that. What about 11 to 11:50?
So from 11 to 11:50, we have two more fascinating workshops. One of them is called Telling the Truth, Writing Narrative Nonfiction. And this is going to be taught by Dr. Craig von Busick. And he is going to be using his book, Telling the Truth. And they're really doing an in-depth dive into how to do narrative nonfiction. This is also great if you're considering writing memoir, because he's going to handle both of these topics. And then we also have Edie Melson, and she's teaching a class, Think You Have a Nonfiction Book Idea? And these are critical steps that take you from idea to book. So again, if you've never written nonfiction and you think maybe you have an idea, come to Edie's class, because she's going to kind of walk through some systems, some critique methods, some steps on, is this actually a good idea? And, you know, where do you go from here?
Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know a writer who has not had an idea that could not take it to completion. I mean, I had this really great idea one time for a work of fiction. Maybe one day it will be a very short story, because my problem was, as I started plotting it out, I realized I don't have a book. I have just an idea. So being able to take something from idea to, to a complete book, again, that's a skill. And Edie's going to teach that. And when it comes to Craig's, part of like memoir, you can also look at this for biography. And I know, as someone who's co-written a biographical book with Eric Eichinger, we wrote the story of Eric Little, who was, the 2016 world breaking champion at the Olympics. Did I say 2016?
I was going to say, I don't think it was that year.
No,
that would be a miracle.
Yeah, it was not. I think it was 1926. I'm sorry, because we're almost at 100 years.
Right.
So it's 1926. Just forgive me. Just forget I ever said anything. 1926. He not only broke world records, but he took home the gold. And of course, the movie Chariots of Fire was made about him. But Eric and I went even deeper into his life. And I'm going to tell you, I had never done a biography before. Again, it's a skill and it can be learned, but somebody has to teach it. And I'm so glad Craig is, because he is the expert at this.
And as someone who has worked in libraries for 16 years, I can tell you right now that narrative nonfiction is kind of on the incline. Even for young readers, they are beginning to realize, if it's well written, if it reads like fiction, for kids, they'll scarf it up. And so that's what narrative nonfiction is it's melding those fiction techniques into nonfiction and coming up with something that's really going to still grab your reader.
You and I talked about this while we were at the Blue Ridge Conference. There is a whole series for kids. And you tell me, is it called The Who or something like that?
Well, we call it The Who, What Was, but I don't know. It's the, who was, what is, what was, who is. It depends on if they're dead or not, what tense you're using. But they are small middle grade books about locations, about people, about events. And it's a great way for kids to learn their history, and even about people who either are still living or, have died. But great series. Check it out.
Absolutely. In fact, you can't go into a bookstore without seeing these books. They typically have some kind of a caricature on the cover.
Yeah, they're known for the caricatures.
That's how you're going to know that, oh yeah, this is part of that series. There's a caricature of like George Washington or, Rosa Parks. I mean, almost like you said, almost anybody in history, you're going to find that. And so if that's something that you think you might like to be a part of, I'm sure they're always looking for good writers. And this will be a great start and be Craig's class. Well, that takes us to lunch. We just went from breakfast to lunch in a very short period of time. And we're excited because Michelle Medlock-Adams is our guest speaker this year. And I don't know if she's going to talk about the big boy maters, but I just love it when she talks about the big boy maters. So we will find out if she's going to talk about that this year or not in her keynote while we are dining in the private dining room.
Yep.
Then we go.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Then we have like a 10-minute break. Again, run to the restroom, brush your teeth, whatever, brush your hair, talk amongst yourselves. And then we're going to come back at 1:10 to 2 o'clock. And who do we have teaching in that hour?
You get to choose from either Bethany Jett or Ava Pennington again. And Bethany is going to be teaching on 3 pillars of a great nonfiction book. So she's going to be talking about key elements that every nonfiction book should have, whether it's devotionals or like Christian life, anything like that, and talking about kind of the outlining process that you can go through if that's something you're interested in. And then Ava Pennington is talking about handling God's word with your words. In other words, whether you write for the general market or the Christian market, how can you use the gift of writing that God has given you to communicate what's in His word?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because and you know what, there are rules for how to insert God's word into your text. There are also rules about, believe it or not, about which versions you can use and things like that. So if that's something that you're interested in knowing, be sure to take this class, raise your hand, ask Ava about it. And then, if you're just wanting to know, like, what does it take to write a nonfiction book? Hey, especially like if you're a fiction writer and you've been thinking about trying your hand at writing nonfiction, and I'm a fiction writer, but I have written nonfiction, so I know those are 2 totally different animals. Yeah, be sure to come to Bethany's class. Well, now we've slipped into the 2:10 to 3 o'clock hour.
Yep. Excuse me, still coming from a cough.
She has a hairball.
That's right, hairball. And here you're going to hear from Michelle Cox or Michelle Medlock Adams. You'll have to pick the 2 Michelles. Michelle Cox is going to be talking about writing the gift and devotional book market. Gift books can sometimes be, you might have this wonderful idea, but you're not sure how to go about writing it or how to even find a publisher, because it's a very specific niche. And so this would be an excellent class to go to if that's something that you've thought about kind of exploring a little bit. And also the devotional book market.
Yeah.
So she's going to give you some wonderful ideas on how you can expand your book, how you can find a publisher, and that whole process.
And she is the expert on that. I mean,
she absolutely is.
She has written devos and gift books with people like Todd Starnes and
Brian Bird.
Exactly. You know what? I had his face in, and like I totally lost his name for like 2 seconds. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Brian Bird. Yeah, our friend. Yeah. And so, I mean, she is the grande dame on writing gift books and devotional books and things like that. Couldn't be better. And then, of course, the best at marketing is going to be talking about marketing.
Yes, marketing your nonfiction book. And this is going to be taught by Michelle Medlock Adams. And she really is the queen of marketing. So you are not going to want to miss this class. I do want to say, if this is a class that you're interested in, that you need to make sure, if you don't already have a planner of some kind, like anything, that you purchase one and that you bring it with you to class. I know a lot of times we will use like our phones or the computer or something and use a calendar app there. But in this particular case, Michelle wants you to bring in a paper calendar, and she's going to explain why. Trust me, you will not be sorry. It'll be the best $10 purchase you ever made.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe we should have some like calendars in the bookstore or something, just in case.
That'd be a really good idea.
Yeah, we might need that. All right. So then as we're, inching toward the end of the day, we've got the 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock classes.
Yes. And here we have the digital writing do's and don'ts. And this is going to be taught by Craig Von Busick. And obviously, digital media is huge during this time period. Obviously not going away. You need to be familiar with how to use it, how to manipulate it, and manipulate in a good sense. You need to be very familiar with just the do's and the don'ts. So by all means, if maybe technology is not something you're comfortable with, this would be an excellent class to go to. Yeah. That's taught by Craig Von Busick. And then Bethany Jett, if you weren't able to attend Michelle's class on marketing, she's going to do a class on marketing as well. It's called Writing Nonfiction Through the Marketing Lens. And this is going to help you craft your manuscript from a marketing perspective. So if you can actually attend both of those classes, because it looks like they're going to pair very nicely, both Michelle's and Bethany's, then I would encourage you to do that.
And then our last session of the day for the Nonfiction Intensive is from 4:10 to 5 o'clock. And we're going to bring back Edie Melson and Michelle Cox again.
We sure are. So if you've ever wanted to write a book with another author, then this is a class, Michelle Cox's class, called When Friends Become Co-Authors. That's definitely a class you're going to want to attend, because if you've ever done anything with a friend thinking this is going to be a great, blend, sometimes it can be a complete disaster. So she's going to give you advice, some tips, things to consider before you just join into something like that. Because you don't want to destroy a friendship over a book.
That's right. Yeah. As someone who has written several books with others, I'm here to tell you that if it's something you want to do, you want to tread lightly, but you want to have everything in place. And Michelle's going to talk about that. And it's so important, because I can honestly say that for every book that I have co-written, I have remained friends, but there's a reason for that. And it's because we laid that groundwork ahead of time.
Yeah. Very, very true. And friendship definitely needs to be guarded. So please attend that class.
Yes.
And then the last one, the last class of the Nonfiction Intensive that we're offering is taught by Edie Melson, and it's called Using Fiction Techniques to Make Your Nonfiction Great. And we kind of talked about a class similar to this at the very beginning. So if you wanted to hear that one, but you couldn't make it, come to Edie's, because this is so important. You don't want your nonfiction to be dry and just to be like an encyclopedia. And I think a lot of readers just naturally assume that's what nonfiction is. So if you can make your nonfiction read like it's fiction, make it exciting, you're going to just have a huge following. So definitely come to Edie Melson's class.
Yes. Okay. So now I want to talk to you about the rest of Wednesday, because sometimes that gets a little confusing. Some of you will come in later on in the day, or like right after lunch, because if you're coming in to spend the night on Wednesday, you actually cannot check in until 1:30. From 1:30 to 5 o'clock, registration is open, but we cannot get you into your room, and you cannot eat lunch at the conference center. So if you are planning to spend the night Wednesday night for the official start on Thursday, be sure to go out somewhere in the Mount Dora area or Eustis or Leesburg, get yourself some lunch, and then come in and be at the conference center by 1:30. You don't have to be there by 1:30, but between 1:30 and 5 o'clock.
Right.
Now,
and to piggyback real quick on that, Eva, those of you coming in Tuesday night for the intensive, you don't get dinner at the conference center Tuesday night.
No.
Okay. So make sure
you don't either
before you come. Yeah, we don't even get dinner. So make sure
be sure to grab something before you get there. And then on Wednesday afternoon, we have a couple of things that we do offer. Now, the first one is the book proposal studio, and it's going to be a little different this year than it has been in years past. In years past, Kim Devlecourt and Kathy Bruins taught the class, and they started on Wednesday afternoon and carried it all the way through. Now, you pay extra for this particular class. The Wednesday afternoon class is just kind of an overview. So if you signed up for the Nonfiction Intensive and you signed up for the Book Proposal Studio, I want you to know it's okay that you're going to miss this part of it, because you're going to be able to pick up throughout the rest of the week during the continuing classes. I know that sounds a little convoluted, but trust me, it's true. But this first part this year is going to be taught by Linda Glaze. And Linda is a wonderful agent, just agent extraordinaire. She knows what the editors and publishers are looking for. And so she's going to be able to help you just with the overview of what a book proposal is. Again, you have to sign up for this class, and then you can continue on throughout the rest of the week when the class is taught by Edie Melson. And that's going to go a little bit deeper and get into some fine details so that you can walk out at the end of the conference with a book proposal in your hand. So it's all done and it's all ready. Now, the other class that we teach, or that, well, like you and I don't teach it, Taryn, but it's taught,
we offer.
I should say. The other, oh, thank you. We offer. Look at how she edited me. Isn't she good? And this also, there is an additional cost, and you must pre-register. And this is taught by Susan Neal, and who better to teach this than Susan? It's titled How to Sell 1,000 Books in a month. So Taryn, let's talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, so Susan Neal has taught this before, not at FCWC, but at other conferences. So we're really excited to have her teach it here. And she's going to cover 7 different topics during this workshop. It's an hour-and-a-half workshop. And she's going to talk about your target market, having a passionate personal story, the hook and reader benefit, book reviews, media kits, social media, and how to put together a marketing plan. So if I said anything there where you're like, wait, hook reader benefit, media kit, what is this?
What is that?
I have a book coming out and I would love to sell 1,000 copies each month. Definitely pre-register for this class. It's only $50. Is that correct, Eva?
I think that's right. Yeah, the book proposal is 60 and this is an additional 50. Now, again, these classes are not recorded because they are the additional cost. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And it's from 3:30 to 5. So as long as you show up at registration sometime before that, you need to make sure you can get yourself into your room, you can get settled, and then you can go to this class.
And then finally, one of my absolute favorite workshops to even talk about or attend, and I've attended a few, and that is the pitch workshop. So a lot, especially people who are new to our industry, they're like, what is a pitch? Or what is an elevator pitch? They'll hear that. They're like, an elevator pitch? Do I have to get in an elevator? But that's where Edwina Perkins comes in to help teach and to get you ready for that pitch. And this is what you are going to present to a prospective editor or agent, someone that you're hoping will buy your concept, buy your book idea. But you got like about that long to encourage, to hook them and get them excited about your project. And I often tell this story, Taryn. The first time I walked into it wasn't a conference, it was a convention. But at this convention, and this was in 1999, at this convention, you could meet up with editors and you could talk with them about your book idea. And I had this tiny little idea for a nonfiction book. I had written a fiction work, but fiction just was not selling that much in those days. And so, unless you were like Jerry Jenkins, then you were getting, or Jeanette Oak, then you were getting your books published, but not too many others. I think there were like just maybe a small handful. Davis Bunn, was one of them. So I knew I could not get in with my work of fiction. I was just like, yeah, that's pretty much hopeless. No matter how wonderful it is, it's kind of hopeless. And so, I had this little book idea of a collection of marriage proposal stories. And it came about because my daughter asked me one evening how daddy proposed to me. So how did my dad propose to you? And I realized I had never told her that story, and how interesting it is that we tell that story until the day we get married. We show off the ring and like, oh, and then, the ring was hidden in a piece of cake or, whatever. But we never tell the story after that, or we rarely tell the story after that. So I put together an idea, I put together my book proposal, and I went to this convention and I sat down with 12 editors. I remember that number because it was like, the number of disciples.
Right.
And I sat across from them. And after I did my hello, my name is, nice to meet you, shake the hand and all that kind of stuff. After I did that, I slapped my hands on the table and I said, quick, tell me how your parents got engaged. And I would kind of get the deer in the headlights look, like, I don't know. And why is it we tell that story every day until the day we get married, and then we never tell it again? And yet it is one of the most romantic stories that we have. It is how we became a couple. It is how our family became a family. It starts there. Now, what if, and then I went into the concept of the book. 9 days later, Taryn, I got a book contract with Barber Publishing.
Wow.
And that is what launched my career into publishing. That's where the whole thing started. And you know what? I go back to the fact that it's because I knew what to do with the pitch. Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you something, and I know a lot of people are not going to believe this, but by nature, I'm pretty much an introvert. Stop laughing. everything that you see on stage, everything that you see in a classroom, everything that you see right here, this is all make believe. Okay. I like my quiet time. I don't like people that much. So, okay. I love all you, but people in general. And yeah, I was always kind of the person in the back of the classroom who didn't want to raise her hand. Even if I knew that I knew the answer, I was always afraid that it was going to be wrong. And so for me to have done that took everything I had and then some. But what I found was that the more I practiced it, the easier it got. And that's what you're going to be doing in the pitch workshop is practice, practice, practice.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Edwina has you do is you sit with, you know, whoever's next to you and you practice your pitch.
Practice,
And it's one of the things I talk about when I teach public speaking. Like you have to practice it. You got to practice it in the mirror too. Like, don't be afraid to go back into your hotel room that night and practice it in the mirror and look at your facial expression, because you might think you're being really animated, but you're really not, or maybe you're overly animated and you're kind of freaking people out. Yeah. But Edwina is going to give you so many great tips, and she's going to help you come up with that elevator pitch. And it's called an elevator pitch because you should be able to get that idea out by the time you would take an elevator, you know, on a floor.
Right. Just from a few floors down. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So nice and snappy.
Like, not like the Omni, you know, the top of the Omni all the way down.
Yeah.
But
you got 30 seconds, like maybe.
A few seconds. Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, like, quick, tell me how your parents got engaged. I mean, that was it. I had them hooked, you know, so you have to come up with something like that, and it has to be different. And I'm going to tell you this in all honesty, guys, as somebody who sits and listens to pitches and talks to people at conferences, etc., especially as it gets toward the end of the day or closer to my time for a cup of coffee, we tend to start phasing out, and we don't mean to. It's just your brain gets tired, and it's kind of human nature that now you're starting to think about what you got to do when you get home, or wonder what they're serving for dinner tonight, or,
I hope it's
where is that cup of coffee, and so you have to be able to hook them, whether it's you've got the first appointment of the day or the last appointment of the day. You want it to be memorable. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Then we're going to have dinner. Then we're going to come back into the main auditorium. And what are we going to do?
Well, then we have what we call Coke Floats and Conversation. And if you've been with us for any amount of time, you know that Wednesday nights are almost as fun as Saturday night. Nothing can top Saturday night, but Wednesday night we have Coke floats or root beer floats. We just make those floats for you. We hand them out. There is no fee to attend this. We hope everyone comes, because the more the merrier. And in the past, sometimes we've had popcorn, sometimes we haven't. It all depends. But what we do is we get everyone nicely sugared up. And then we have a panel, and this is where our conversation comes in. We do a couple different panels with editors and agents and sometimes freelancers. And we just ask the questions that are current, maybe that is a hot topic right now. And, let's just get a take on what everyone's thinking about this. Or, we might ask an agent, what is the best way to pitch to you? Or what do you not ever, what are some horror stories that you have? It's a great way for not only you to get to know our faculty a little bit more, but you're also going to get educated. And it's a lot of fun. And if you want to just go back and get one.
That's right. That's right. So I want to just say that if you have already in your mind, you've got some questions that you want to make sure are asked at the panel, go ahead and send those to us. We're going to start collecting them now. And the sooner yours gets in, that's going to be on top. So, we don't have all night to answer these questions. Like, what are we doing? Like 30 minutes per panel, maybe something like that.
I think the whole evening is short.
Yeah. Because we want you to get to bed, because tomorrow morning,
we have after hour workshops that we need to make sure we release.
We do. What am I thinking? That's right. Okay. We're not going to talk about those today. We're going to talk about after hours workshops next time. How about that? So, I know that this might have gone a little bit longer than you had anticipated. I know it went longer than I had anticipated, but that's okay, because we want you to kind of glean all of this. One thing you can do, you don't have to watch us. You can just put us on, we're on YouTube. So just turn us on, put on your makeup, do your hair, guys, put it on, while you're driving. I know you don't like to put on your makeup, guys, but anyway, just, you know, you don't have to watch us, but do listen, and you can listen to this time and time again. We cannot wait to see you in October. So until then, you know how I like to always end it. Right on.